What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video, reacting to Small Artists Do This and Spotify Will Love You by Smart Music Business. As always, if you've not already subscribed to Smart Music Business, go ahead and give them a sub. And I've also included the link for the original video in the description below. Please go and click on that and give the original video a like. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you would like to see me react to next, and let's get to it.
If you're an artist and you feel like you're not getting the streams you deserve on your songs and that Spotify's team is ignoring them and they're not getting added to the editorial playlist, I got good news. As an artist myself, I wanted to understand what artists can do to increase their chances on getting on those Spotify editorial playlists and triggering that algorithm, so we went directly to the source.
Across 2020 and 2021, we playlisted 150,000 artists for the very first time. That's what motivates an editorial team.
That was Selena Ung, who's a 15-year music industry veteran who also just happens to be the head of global of editorial at Spotify for the last 3 years. And so she knows a thing or two about getting songs playlisted. So today, her and her team are going to give you some valuable tips on how to increase your chances of getting your songs playlisted. And some of these I have never even heard before, especially that last one. I really is going to change the game on getting on editorial playlists.
One thing that I did not know about, of course, I am also not only just a YouTuber that does these couple of channels, but I have original music out on Spotify that's distributed through DistroKid to all the online streaming platforms and everything. One thing that I did not know, my last release was a full-length release. I released a full 10-song album. I didn't know that in order to be considered for a playlist, you have to submit the song. It's best if you submit it a few months earlier. You put it under like pre-release. You're not allowed to playlist any release song. And I didn't know this. Out of all 10 of my songs, I was only allowed to put one of them towards playlist consideration. So this is perhaps another reason why a lot of artists are saying, don't release full albums. Release singles. Once you've got 8, 9, 10, 12 singles, the last single, you put that into a full release album. So that way, with every song, see, I was under the impression that I was going to be able to enter each individual track off of my 10-track album to be considered for playlisting. Wrong. I did not know that. So next, going forward, I might record songs in a batch of 5 to 10 at a time. That's kind of how I work. I don't know about sitting down and working on just one song until completion and just keeping them and releasing them a track at a time until the 10th song comes out and then roll that into an album. Because I love the idea of having an album, a collection of songs. I know that's not the way the industry is going anymore, but not only am I old, I'm old school and I like it.
You're not going to hear this stuff on other videos about advice on triggering the algorithm or getting on editorial playlists. This is straight from Spotify. So get your pad and pen ready, watch these in order, and make sure you don't miss any of these, because it's going to be a game changer if you want Spotify to add your songs to editorial playlists. You don't want to miss these. So let's jump into this right now.
So you can find the playlist submission tool on Spotify for artists. So we recommend at least 7 days before the release date, because that helps.
I heard from other people that it's actually best if you do at least 2 or 3 months. That's what I did. I put it out 2 or 3 months, but yes, it has to be under upcoming. Yes, that much I know, but they recommend at least 7 days. So yeah.
Helps us not only on the editorial side of programming, but also it helps you get into the personalized playlist like Release Radar.
So that means when we plan to release a new song, we need to give ourselves at least 2 weeks minimum so that we can pitch it to the Spotify playlisters. And remember, when you upload your song to your DSP like TuneCore, DistroKid, or CD Baby, it takes at least 24 to 72 hours before it even shows up in your Spotify dashboard, which then you can pitch it. And did you see what she also said? When you pitch it to them, you also trigger the Release Radar, which is nice. Spotify's algorithmic playlist, which you can get the most amount of streams. So you don't want to miss out on that opportunity as well. So plan ahead.
And I do have to say, out of my 10-song release, once I realized I was only allowed to pick one song, that song is the one song that's doing the best. Yeah, and I think I gave it almost 2 months, 2 to maybe 3, 2 months for sure in advance, where I pitched it to them once it was showing up under my soon-to-be released. I didn't notice it getting put on any of those playlists, but later in life, that's the song that seems to be doing fantastically well. Fantastic comparatively to where, you know, a unknown, unsigned, independent, local, nobody schmo like myself's numbers would normally be doing. Yeah, that one song, it's probably also because it's the strongest of all the songs, is doing actually quite well.
A lot of people think you have to know someone at Spotify to be added on the playlist, and that couldn't be
Wouldn't hurt.
more than not true.
It
In this
wouldn't hurt.
role, I've never ever found anything off of a DM, ever, which is crazy. The best way for me to be across music is via the pitching tool, because that's my inbox. Like I read more pitches than I do emails. We have like tools designed to find these pitches and like find these tracks out of nowhere.
Well, I don't know about you, but that's good news, knowing that they can find tracks out of anywhere, and then they check their messages on the tool more than they check emails and have never found a song DMing someone. So that's good news to me, that we don't want to waste our time DMing them and just use the playlist tool to our best ability.
But you still can't tell me if there's somebody that, okay, DMing is one thing, randomly DMing, like a cold DM when you don't know them, you got to know that just like anything else, it's not what you know, it's who you know. If you've got connections, if you've got friends at Spotify, I'm sure that they push you onto those playlists as a favor. Hey, you did me a favor, I'm going to do you a favor. Yeah, there's still always that. Don't forget, it's the music business. It's corrupt. Generally, yes, things are probably like this. But there's always a couple people willing to do things not necessarily on the up and up.
I will say though, you could DM an independent playlist. I have personally got on playlists independently, but that's different than the Spotify editorial playlist.
We try to check everything that comes through, and I mean we as a global team. So it's very important for us to understand the context and also as much detail as we can when we see something submitted in the tool. So we check genres, we check location, we check language. There's also a lot of deep fields like instrumentation, if it's a cover, if it's a remix. So it depends on what type of work you're doing as an editor. But we do have access to everything. And I think the most interesting part of it is the description.
So when you're pitching your song, everything matters. So you want to make sure that you take your time and that it's accurate. But what do you put in the description?
Some people just leave it blank. Don't leave it blank. There's no like set way to how to write a pitch. I do love it when they tag their social media though, because it's like when you hear something that you're like, wow, who's this? When you go into their social media and you kind of like find out more about them, it's like, it adds more interest.
When I did my pitch, I definitely filled that in. I gave kind of a general rundown about what the song was, its style, all that sort of thing. I don't think I inputted any of my social media because that's directly on my Spotify artist profile. I just figured if they wanted to know more about me there, they'd click on the Spotify artist profile, you know, and just go from there. At the time, I had current pictures up on there. The pictures that are up there now have a very clean-shaven me, but this happened very recently.
If you feel like you know who your audience is, tell us, and we'll make sure we get it to the right editor. If you have playlists in mind that you feel like your music sits alongside, you can put it in the description and we can tag it to the relevant editor and see if it works for them.
I thought this was so huge and good to know that they actually go and check your social media links. Like if they like your song, they go and check you out and learn more about you to see what you've got going on. Because you got to remember, these guys and gals are artists too, and they just love music. I've never put my social media in there before. But what I also loved is that it's like, hey, if you know a Spotify playlist that you think your song would be a good fit for, well, then add that. Let them know. And so that's one thing I also have never done before is actually like, I do know what Spotify playlists I would like to be on, but I've never actually suggested that in my description. So I think this is so good.
Many people discover older music, songs that have been released in the past, as new. And for example, I think Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill, is a really great.
Yes, Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill from Stranger Things. Also a completely different side of the coin. Metallica's Master of Puppets because of Stranger Things. And there was also that one song that the guy with the mohawk and the longboard drinking the ocean spray. That was, Dreams by Stevie Nicks. It's, yeah, unbelievable how songs from decades and decades ago, from being on a television series or just a TikTok or video that goes viral for, it was Stevie Nicks singing it, but of course it was a Fleetwood Mac song. It's her voice on it. Yeah, something like 40, 50 years later, it's a hit song again. That's absolutely crazy. Yes, that does happen quite often. Not as often as it should, but it does happen quite often.
Example of a sync on Stranger Things that really triggered the imagination of new listeners. And we saw that
Yeah, you can see Master of Puppets up in there too. You can see Master of Puppets right below, just barely below Running Up That Hill. They don't have it on the screenshot where you can actually see the numbers, but yeah, of course, something like Kate Bush is a lot more commercial, where a lot of people heard, old 80s thrash metal and were like, I don't know about this.
really early, we started testing in playlists, and it really took on a life of its own. That song is a bigger hit now than it was 37 years ago. And it's been introduced to an audience that have never known Kate Bush before, which was really inspiring and interesting to see.
I love this because it means you can breathe new life into old songs, especially ones that are like 30-something years old. We even had an 8-year-old song that almost got in a Doritos commercial last year.
Wow.
And it's 8+ years old. We had another song 10+ years old. So that's what you need to look at as your music career, as a real long-term plan and not this short term. And you want to make decisions based on the long term, because you're going to be in this game for a long time, and your songs can be working for you for years. And just because a song is old to you doesn't mean there aren't millions of people that have never heard that great song. So I hope that inspires you.
As editors, we are looking at many things in terms of a performance of a song, when to move a song into a playlist. That includes both looking at listeners' reactions in the playlist, how many people are listening to the song organically on Spotify, but also looking outside of Spotify and looking at wider culture, at social media. Is the artist performing in a particular city? How did that concert go? We think about all of those things when we're curating.
I love what Selena said about.
I hope that doesn't mean that for smaller independent artists that are gigging very little, or if they are gigging, they're doing 1 out of 3 sets with a bunch of other local bands and just aren't getting that much love. Because as we all know, as a brand new artist or as an independent, unknown artist without any backing, the hardest thing to do is to really get that ball going and to get your true fans. Like the old saying goes, well, not that old of a saying, 1,000 true fans you will be able to base a living off of. And it's so hard to get that going organically, especially in today's day and age when everything seems to be that much more stacked against you. There's fewer chances for revenue. There's fewer gigs, and those gigs are paying less and less. When is there time for an artist to be an artist and to put time into their art, to record, to rehearse, to tour, when that will not pay the bills and they've got to have a day job? It's really tough. So I hope they're not talking about just the artists that are out and hitting the road and doing well, because obviously if there's more of a reaction from that organically, they're going to push those things onto the playlist that much more. It's a business. I get it. I'm just saying, I hope that there's still chance for growth for new and unknown independent artists that don't have that pull.
Listeners' reactions, like, are they saving it? Are they skipping it? Are they listening to the whole song? Are they sharing it or adding it to their own personal playlist? Like, all this stuff matters and they're looking at it, but most importantly, are they getting organic streams and not botted streams? This is why you should never do bots and only like hire legit Spotify promotion playlists or run Spotify ads or run Facebook and Instagram ads. I'll talk about that at a different video at the end.
So by genre, every week, editors from around the world come together and they talk about the music that's coming from their local cities, from the countries that they live in, and they advocate and champion for artists and tracks that they really believe in, that they know have an audience, that are reacting well, gaining momentum. And that inspires, for example, an editor in London to listen to a track that's coming out of Johannesburg. And that cross-pollination of ideas, of sounds, is really core to how we curate.
So there's your behind the scenes.
That's the one thing I've always been a huge proponent for. I know that online streaming has made it very hard for musicians to make a living, to make money off their music, but the one bonus, and I almost hate to say this, because this almost sounds like the, old club owner going, I'm not going to pay you much or next to nothing, but do it for exposure. Spotify is one of the #1 tools in the world for discovery. Think about it. How is a local, yokel, nobody like me that lives in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, which is right next door to Detroit, gonna end up with 40 or 50 regular listeners in Japan? I've never in my life been to Japan. I'm not sure if I ever will make it to Japan, but my music has and can. I remember at one point looking at it like, yep, I've got play on 5 continents right now. That is freaking awesome. Not making any real money, but the music's getting out there. That's at least one positive to take out of it all.
Look of how Spotify curators really place songs on editorial playlists. So I hope that's going to better your chances of getting on those. But now, what about the songs that you already have released? What about that back catalog that they were talking about? What can you do to promote those songs? Well, that's where Spotify ads come into place, which is totally legit for you to promote a song, a playlist, or have an ad go right to your profile. And I have a video right here that you can watch right now that goes step by step on how to run Spotify ads to promote your songs that are already out. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and if you haven't joined our Spotify challenge or got our Spotify ad templates, all the links are below there. Cheers.
All right, there you have it. That's reacting to Small Artists Do This in Spotify Will Love You from Smart Music Business. As always, if you've not already subscribed to Smart Music Business, go ahead now and give them a sub. I've also included the link for the original video in the description below. Please go down there, click on it, and give the original video a like. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you would like to see me reacting to next. Thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, and share. It doesn't cost a thing and would really help out the channel. Also, please subscribe to my other channel, GK Mac Music, for some live looping live streams with a side of jackassery, some original music, and some short content, also with a side of jackassery. If you'd like to help out the channel financially, you can buy some merch at the merch store, or you can become a channel member. As always, everyone, thanks so much for your continued support. Do what makes you happy.